You want
I'm
me to?
gonna have to refresh. I'm gonna have to
Alright.
refresh this damn page, but we're getting a signal. Oh, nice, nice YouTube. I can't even see it now.
Oh god, did YouTube
Alright.
crash again?
No, no, we have video. Thank God they have two previews for fuck's sakes. Anyway, um, welcome everyone to the Toku Portal podcast. It's me, Zero, here with.
Decade.
Dr. Grid.
Tension.
And Rye. Uh, it feels good to have this many people again. Welcome to the podcast for Kamen Rider Zi-O, episode 24. When we last left off, Zi-O was dreaming of a distant future where it was basically Power Rangers RPM. Uh, like humans are going extinct because robots are destroying them. And the Another Rider created is some kind of parasite and not a watch like the Time Jackers use. And so Schwartz forcefully attaches it to to turn him into the Another Rider. And that was the cliffhanger we left off on. Decade and I said our pieces last week, but it was just us. So, do you guys have anything you want to say about that?
Oh, I'll let you go first, Grid.
Uh, 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 yeah. You know what? I'll let you go first. I'll gather my thoughts first.
Okay. I really like Kikai. Of all of the future riders, he's the one I want to see the most of. I know he's basically Kikaider because it's the same actor and they're making all kinds of get it jokes for that, but I haven't seen Kikaider. Even so, I really like that he's a machine who likes humans and wants to protect humans and is distinctly Showa flavored, so that was pretty cool. As for Schwartz attaching the thing to her, well, they spoil it themselves because Sogo's future vision shows it to us a minute before it happens, so they could have done without that, but...
Well, the point was that, Sogo tried to warn him, but it was too late.
Oh, got it. Schwartz is the most dickish of the three, so... Although, I feel kind of bad for because he just gets shit on by all the other time jackers, especially later in this episode, as we'll see, so... Also a dick but he did not deserve that, and I don't see what they stand to gain from it apart from maybe getting a watch out of that, but I still don't quite follow the rule of logic into attaching the thing to
They wanted to get an actual, Another Rider watch out of it that they normally use.
Yeah, that was what I thought about that. It made sense for that.
Yeah. I don't exactly remember where the parasite came from exactly.
That gets explained this episode.
Oh, okay.
Not much on the betrayal?
No.
Alright.
I thought that more would come out of that later on, but apparently I'm pretty sure they're still going to be working together. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, it did seem like okay. That's more stuff in this episode, so I'll hold off. As for last episode, yeah, you guys actually did a really good job for a two-man podcast. That was actually super well done.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was really. I was like, holy shit, man! Might as well just leave it to these guys from now on. But as for the episode, yeah, the Kikaider throwback was really nice. And then everything else you guys covered, so that's all I have to say.
All right.
Yeah, it was really competently done for a part one, and then this episode was so solid for character development for everybody else. I'm like, oh man, it's the second good two-parter after the O's one.
So, Henshin, it's funny that you say that Schwartz is the like biggest dick out of all of them because that was already clear. While and Oro will make a contract with their victims, they'll like convince them to listen to go along with it. Schwartz will just straight up say no need to reply and force them into it. He does
Yeah,
not care about consent.
Nope, he does not.
So yeah, Schwartz is easily the most evil out of all of them, I guess. So, opening up this week, we have a short conversation between Tsukuyomi and Gaze, basically talking about how to defeat the Another Rider. Gaze believes that Sogo's dreaming of the future is the key to it. To Tsukuyomi's protest, she doesn't want to enlist Sogo's help anymore because she believes he's on the path to becoming the Demon King. Also, they're having dinner at White Waz's place. I guess not. He has a place now. That's cool.
Yeah, what exactly was that place he was living at? Is that like?
I don't know. Maybe he has a timeshare.
Okay. Not sure how you get one, but
Oh god, that was
brought
a
money with
massive
him.
joke. That's like my like early levels of dad jokes, which I tried to restrain. Like, Jesus.
like I just thought of it when he asked, like, how does he have that place too?
He has oh my god. Awful. Yeah, that's not what I thought. I thought I'm like, oh my god, they're eating at the fucking location from the Amazons movie. I'm like, oh, how long did it take you to clean all the blood off, you fuck? But yeah, actually, on second thought, it's not exactly the same place. But I'm like, yeah, that freaked me out for a second. But I guess like he literally can write anybody's future, so he could literally just hijack somebody's apartment if he wanted to. Apartment, but you know.
I mean, if he could do that, couldn't he have chosen someplace nicer?
I don't know. That looks like a pretty nice dining room alone. That's not even like the kitchen. That's just the dining room.
Yeah, my thoughts on that is like they're from a post-apocalyptic future. I'm thinking like the shittiest coffee shop would be like.
White Waz isn't. White Waz is from the nice future.
No, I know he's from the nice future, but Gates and Tsukiyomi aren't.
Right. We also at this point we have like the complete role reversal, where Gaze used to be the one mistrusting of everything Sogo did, with Tsukuyomi trying to be the cooperative one, and now that's just completely flipped. How do you guys feel about that?
I feel like they could have worked into it more gradually instead of just like flipped right on the spot.
I agree. I feel like it was a bit rushed.
I did read somewhere that this change was due to them seeing the power of Zi-O 2 and how this can mess with time even more, which scares Tsukiyomi so much. She's like, okay, we have to stop him now or we're never going to be able to do it because he'll just get stronger from here. Which does make sense, but it would have been nice if they just given a little more episodes where it really sinks in that Zi-O 2 is really pretty strong for that character development to make sense instead of immediately.
Well, my problem with that is that he is showing signs of the power that Omazio has, but that power alone doesn't make him evil, and Tsukuyomi just immediately abandons him.
Yeah, the other reason it might have been is because they're like, well, we have to make the female character the antagonist for some reason, and set up like the possible future situation later on the episode, which I have problems with, but I'll discuss it when we get there.
Decade, any thoughts?
Yeah, it did seem sudden, but I did like that in this episode they kind of backtracked and they're like, okay, wait, we need to give Tsukuyomi some better development before getting into this new mood, I guess. So yeah, they kind of fixed it a little bit this episode.
Right, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like, yeah, it did seem a little rushed or forced. Um, but yeah, this episode, like, definitely, like, it did so much for everybody's character, but like Tsukiyomi probably the most, because like, well, I guess that's not true. I guess Aura the most. Now she actually has a freaking personality. Um, but Tsukiyomi, like, actually, yeah, you can see exactly like her thought process. Like, he's too strong. I'm gonna side with this guy, and then she carries it out, and you see what the fuck happens. The only problem I have with this is like, okay, Zi-O, like, you brought back Gates when you reset time. You should have brought Tsukiyomi back, and like, then you guys would have all been friends by the end of this episode. But he only does it for Gates, and I'm like, okay, fine, Gates is kind of on your side now, but like, you literally
Well,
just had to pick one more person.
I don't think he only did it for gays, but I'll get into that when we get to that part of the episode. Uh, so, Aura, the female timejacker, approaches White Waz with an interesting conversation about and what's going on right now. So here's an interaction that we haven't gone yet. We haven't really seen White Waz interact with the timejackers at all. And I like the way Aura approaches him here. Despite the reveal later, how do you guys feel about this?
Yeah, I actually really did enjoy their first time interaction, which begs the question: if does White Waz have his own time trackers, like versions of them, and if so, are they still like around where in his original timeline?
I don't think so because we're assuming that these timejackers come from the Omazio future, so White Waz's future has no need for that.
Mm-hmm.
On initial viewing, it seemed like Aura was afraid of White Waz, but like later in the episode, I'm like, well, maybe she was, but she still backstabbed her. So I don't if White Waz, but like still just acts on her own. It was still an interesting approach, though.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they even worked with Black Laws at one point, so it just seems like they'll try to use anyone they can, but it doesn't usually go well for them. They're kind of not the best villains, but oh well.
They just don't have enough character development.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I feel like Aura and Aura are actually getting some now. So like they're actually somewhat characters. Schwartz, I mean, like, I guess he always kind of had character because he's just the leader. So like you can just infer some characterization there. As for Aura in this episode, holy shit! Like when they show up in like the clock shop, right? I'm like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? Are we actually turning both of these characters good this episode? I was like, that's a little sudden, but I could actually see it happening. And then they both turn around and like, nah, fuck you. I'm just doing it my own way. I was like, okay, that was pretty well done too. The weirdest thing I have in this is like, why does White Waz get affected by time? Because like, I'm like, it's more like he could just move through frozen time. It's not like he can cause it. So he probably has kind of like the
I-
build thing.
Did
going
he
on.
write in his book that he wouldn't be affected?
No, I'm just remembering from like the first episode he shows up. Oh, maybe that's what he
Yeah,
did.
I think he might have like written in his book that like, oh, like she will try to freeze time, but it doesn't work.
Yeah, maybe. It could be that. I mean, like that's a good explanation. I just thought like if it was from a future where he like they already know exactly what they're facing, so he would be ready for everything. Like time wouldn't affect him. But you're right. It could have just been he just wrote it in the book, and that's why he wasn't affected. But like in the fight, he couldn't do that. Yeah, fair enough.
And then, oh, do you have something?
No.
Okay. So Sogo falls asleep and dreams of the future again, and gets hit with the most like on the nose message as he tries to explain to the kids that Rento Kikai right now is been like affected by the machines, and so he's basically a machine now, and he's not the friend they know. And they stand up for Rento, saying, "No, he's still our friend, despite what's happening right now. He was a machine, but he protected us and became our friend. He was like, in other words, he was our enemy, but he became our friend," which is basically mirroring Sogo and Gaze right now. I feel like it was a little on the nose, but Ryder tends to be at times, so I'm not complaining.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, especially with like the whole Kikaider is like super show a throwback. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. That's pretty much like the message they're gonna do anyway. I mean, it's kind of nice that they gave him like the kids and whatnot to be friends with because then he's just future Forza, and I'm like, I'm cool with that. Uh,
I was thinking more like a
Future
nice.
robot Forze.
I was thinking more like a nicer version of Dylan from RPM.
I don't know. I haven't seen RPM. Rye
Me
would know, I
neither.
guess.
Need to get to that.
The Black Ranger in RPM is a robot. That's a spoiler,
Got
but
it.
that's the reference.
I know that like the Red Ranger in Overtime was a robot, but that was really bad. So
Like it didn't. So in Operation Overdrive, it didn't matter that he was a robot. Even after the reveal, it didn't matter. In RPM, you had that emotion of our enemies are robots. So who are you?
got it. That's a much better way to do that.
Gaze wakes Sogo up and takes him out into the clock shop where, like Zero said before, everyone is there. Tsukuyomi, Waiwaz, and Aura are all there. Like, alright, why don't we work together to uh, free because Aura is feeling like Schwartz is just using as a puppet. And Sogo thinks that, hey, this is good. Like, I want to beat the Nether Rider. We can all get what we want out of this if we work together.
If we work together, we can accomplish anything.
Oh yeah.
Lighter flavored.
And true to form, we get the gag where Uncle goes to get everyone coffee, and when he comes back, everyone has left the room.
Or Uncle, he'll never serve anyone coffee because they're all running off to do rider stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Of course,
Like,
I
he's
know.
totally not phased by all these random people coming into the clock shop for meetings.
I mean, he does kind of explain why he's more okay with that is because, like, oh shit, this kid who's had no friends suddenly has friends.
yeah, like
So I think he's more forgiving of these
It's
weirdos
really
because at
sweet
least, yeah,
and sad.
like Tsukuyomi sticks around to explain to Uncle that she and Gaze are moving out, and Uncle at least says, "Well, thank you for being Sogo's friend because he didn't have any." And yeah, like seeing all these people constantly coming to visit Sogo, he doesn't care if they leave when he goes to get them coffee. Sogo has friends now, as far as he knows.
Yeah, for all that matter, he could care less what he's doing with those friends, as long as he has them.
Decade?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of like another thing I like about that I've started to like about Sogo is that like, yeah, he's cocky, but unlike other super cocky riders we've had, like he isn't actually that amazing, except for like just the power that he has. Like he doesn't have friends. He's not super smart. He's not super attractive or cool or anything. So it is an interesting dynamic.
Yeah, and to be honest, like as much as Sogo, like here's the thing: early on, like he was doing the hero good guy thing, but it's like, okay, one, you're just like generic good guy in the middle of your writer show. Therefore, like you're not even throwing out any like messages of hope or trying to connect with people. You're just here to beat up the monster and be like, okay, yeah, I'm the hero now. And it's like that works, but it was really boring. But now at least like Soga tries. Like he can see, like he's not delusional. Like he can see that people don't like him and his friends are drifting away from him and all that shit. And like it affects him, but he just doesn't say it too much. He just hopes it'll work out. So I'm like, it's kind of good that we're kind of seeing that like mental side of Shogo showing through instead of just being like the oh I want to be king, because that was fucking getting old.
Like, reality is finally setting in on him as he matures.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe deep down he most certainly knows, like, if I get my wish of becoming king, for certain lose all the people I care about. So balances out his I want to be king side, which is way more tamped down. And I agree, I was getting very tired of the I want to be king because I want to be king bit. So
Yeah.
I'm glad they changed that.
Like, my problem with the why I want to be king thing was, okay, why do you want to be king? Because I was born to be king.
I might as well start singing I just can't wait to be king.
Oh, there's a video of that.
I'm sure there is.
I'll share it later. Um, any more thoughts on this?
Nothing you haven't said already.
Sorry about that. Um, so Sogo falls back asleep and goes to the future. He saves the kids from some robots, and then Rento shows up, and he's using Zi-O form. And I forgot to say this last time. I just have to get this off my chest. Zi-O is a bad name.
I mean, there's probably been worse.
You know what? There's a good chance there has been worse.
I mean that's not, but that's not a good margin. Like oh yes, this is a yeah. Um, exactly. It's like it's your hero form. Like, come on, man. Like Zi-O,
Like,
seriously?
you could
You,
name
you
it
have time powers?
Zi-O Duel or anything.
Yeah, like fucking. I don't know. I'd go with the classic Exceed or some shit. I know that's like a Fies thing, but I'm like, I don't care.
What
It's
was the
still
name of one of his finishers?
yeah, I know. It's just like we've had like okay, as dumb as sparkling is as a name and as kind of doofy as that suit looks, like at least it's better than Zi-O. Like, okay,
Well,
I would
Rapid
be
Tank
fine.
Sparkling was meant to represent how his genius, like his genius mind, is like fizzing with energy or whatever. I think
I know
he, I think
where at
Zi-O
least
is
that kind
supposed
of worked. Whereas like Zi-O would have worked in Xaid, right?
really like an
Whereas
XS2.
yeah, because it's a freaking gaming thing, right? Whereas
Yeah,
like
but the thing
there's
is, how would
literally
that
no
work
reason for
with an
two. He's running
asymmetrical?
around trying to be king, right?
How
Like
would
we could think of so many other things. Like fucking Zio Oja, or I mean not Oja. The form from the Fies movie,
uh,
the black one. Um
Orga?
yeah, yeah, that one. Like that could have worked. Freaking like I don't know, man. It's just like I know Japan likes to throw English words because they sound think it sounds cool, but I'm like, you threw a number, Japan. Like, how bankrupt? Like this is the worst part, right? Because like they're not out of ideas because the future writers, okay, the future writers show that like they have talent and they have talented people because like the future suits are just kit bashes, right? But they're still so interesting um, when they're allowed to actually just run with stuff. Um, but like, it seems like the mainline show is so controlled and like heavily produced. Like, no, it has to be this thing because it meets marketing. That like it's sapping creativity away, which is kind of sad because like the future writer stuff is so interesting. Thoughts on any of this, you guys?
I
Uh,
had honestly, it would be better if they'd made the suit name a bad pun like the Miride Watch or the Hay Saber. As for the suit itself, it looks ridiculous, but for some reason I like it, and I don't know why.
I mean, I get the whole point behind it because it represents Sogo's duality and how he's going to be a good demon king, but also kind of bad.
Yeah,
Sorry, I'm
just
back.
split
Yeah.
into.
Okay.
I like the suit. I don't know why, but I like the suit.
We're still talking about Zi-O too.
Yes.
Yeah. Because I mean, like I like the suit too. I think it's because it works in motion.
Yeah, that's
Whereas like, yeah, I mean, like it's not as horrible as Decades freaking power up because that thing is just ugly. Like the normal Decade suit is so much better than that thing. Whereas Zi-O 2 is like, yeah, it's an okay power up, but it looks decent in motion.
like when you freeze frame it and you see that like the clock hands are coming out of his eyes, that doesn't look great. But in motion, when you're not looking right at that, then it looks fine.
Also, like,
Right.
some of the suits coming down the line look more ridiculous, but that's gonna go in the spoiler section.
But like this is a problem we've been having for years now. Like Vashi and I were saying the same exact thing about Mighty Maximum X.
Mighty Maximum X was a lot to handle.
So like saying, oh yeah, the suit looks better in
Mighty
motion,
was,
like is nothing new.
yeah. I mean, I think it's just annoying. I mean, like here's the problem. Like it's just a dumbass name. Like the suit is fine. Like it's not great, but it's fine, right? Uh, like like if I had to rank it, it's probably like on the level of like an okay secondary writer suit. You
Or
know,
like
where it's
an
like
unimportant movie exclusive.
yeah, well, kind of. I was gonna say like it's the equivalent of like Beast's power up from freaking Wizard. Like it's not great, but it's like
Uh,
it's passable.
One of the most disappointing power ups.
Oh god, yeah, it's fucking awful. Like it doesn't need to exist. That thing. But it's like, yeah, again, like it doesn't need to exist, but it's not awful. Um as opposed to like the worst part is like the Hibiki one because the suit looks good, it just does not need to exist. Like Hibiki like red crimson mode, like god.
Oh, kunai?
Yeah, that thing pisses me off.
Oh, yeah.
Because it's such
Just,
a nice suit, but I'm like, this doesn't need to exist. I mean, if we're just talking about suits anyway, I'm pretty sure like the future writer shit is done.
Yeah, I think this
So
was
if
the
you guys
last
for
one.
now. Well, we're supposed to get another one, but that's spoilers.
Okay, well,
Okay, well, I mean, for the writer suits that we have, like, do you guys have any thoughts on their suits? Because we haven't
For,
really compared them.
for some reason, was featuring Kikai kind of reminds me of an ant for some reason. I don't know why.
Me too. It looks like antenna, those teeny watches.
Yeah, because Kamen Rider.
Oh, duh, bugs. Yeah.
But I don't think we ever gotten an ant.
Shinobi has the best suit. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I don't think we ever gotten an ant themed anything. So I guess this is the closest thing we may get.
Futuring Shinobi would be my favorite one of White Waz's forms.
Oh yeah.
Gaze. Okay, so the base Sogo and Gaze forms look fine, and then the armor forms are very hit or miss. Like some of them are pretty good, like the Fies ones, and then some of them are kind of lazy, like the double one. My problem with the Decade one is that it is too bulky.
I hate the Decade Power Up form. It is so freaking ugly, and his face is basically square. I
Yeah,
hate
it's
that
supposed to be
form
like a
so
card,
much.
but hey, at least it's better than Decade Complete form.
I mean, that's like
I think
saying,
they're equally bad.
yeah, yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, well, this is 99% trash, the other one's 100% trash. Like it's slightly better, but I'm like, I don't know if I
It's
want
like
to go anywhere. Yeah,
it's like
those forms are awful.
it's like you stick your hands in two different garbage cans. One of these is slightly less gross.
Exactly. Fuck,
But
like the worst part is like, to be fair, from all the returning writers, like I'm thinking Sukasa did the most for the show. His power up is awful though.
oh
Um,
yeah,
like the ride watch is fucking awful for him. But as for like the future writers, I really kind of like that they're like kit bashes, like um Kick Hider dude from this episode. He's just basically like a kit bash of the final enemy from Drive, basically.
Well, actually, he's supposed to be a guardian from Build because robots.
Yeah, maybe. I just feel like he looks like okay, right, you haven't seen Build, right? Or Drive, sorry.
I have not seen
I've seen
Drive.
I've seen a bit of
Okay.
Drive.
Okay, so basically like the final villain's form is like very similar to Drive's first form except gold. Um so it's just instead of red, imagine gold.
Oh, I
Without the
think
fire.
I've seen that before.
Yeah, and basically that's what like this Kikai form looks like. It looks like a kit bash of that suit, so I'm like, that's fine. I mean, for a robot suit, borrowing from like the robot enemy show, it's fine. Um, and then like Quiz is an interesting suit because it, I don't know, it's got like bits and pieces from like Coast and like X8 and stuff like that. So it's
Like
weird that it's so slim from borrowing so much shit.
so Quiz's suit looks really silly to me, but I like it.
Yeah, it's the classic red and blue.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I like Quiz's suit because it's so ridiculous. But I'm like, if you
Yeah.
literally stacked up all the rider suits of like the main rider suits, they literally don't look anything alike. They're all weirdos. So I'm like, okay, he could fit. Whereas Shinobi kind of looks like actually Shinobi's like silver backing kind of looks like the third rider from Drive. Um,
Chase.
Chaser.
yeah, which is
Chaser.
weird because like Chase is the robot in Drive, so whatever. You'd think if they're borrowing stuff from Drive, it would be that guy, but whatever. You can use this suit twice. But Shinobi, I think, looks the best. But I mean, no wonder he's getting the first miniseries because like it seemed like he had like his aesthetic so well set. Plus, he's basically fighting like the guys from Forza, right? Like the grunts.
Death Starts.
Yeah. Like here's the thing. Like Shinobi is boring, but like his aesthetic and his future and like his moves are cool. Like the actual storyline, I'm like, I don't even.
I actually
I guess
really
he
like
wants
his
to help
genie
him.
bottle belt.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
and
cool.
his whole henshin sequence with giant, like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's the best thing. His henshin is fucking amazing. Uh, Quiz, I think, like in the long run, I think Quiz would make a really interesting show because it would just be basically double. except slightly less crazy because you actually have somebody who's a competent detective. Whereas, like,
And not a half-boiled detective.
yeah, exactly, right? Um, so like, Quiz seems like a mix between like Shotaro and oh, what's his name? Tendo, right? Where it's like, yeah, that could be a very interesting mix for a show. Whereas like his suits so his episode wasn't great, but I think like story wise he would have like the easiest thing in a story because it's like I just solve mysteries basically. I'm like you could literally write anything. You know, like that's what Kamen Rider is. So like in the long run, I think his show probably would be the most solid because you could pretty much do anything. Uh Whereas Kikaya is great because he's here to do one thing, which is be, you know, just another Kikaider. And as long as you just play it with the Showa tropes like they've been doing, it would work out perfectly fine too. So like yeah. Like I like here's the problem. I think I'm the only guy who likes quiz a lot.
You like the quiz
But
the
like
most out of all of us.
yeah,
This
like
is alright.
even online, people are like, ah, I don't like quiz that much. I'm like, I can see so much potential in quiz, but I'm like, yeah, as like, okay, no, I want to see cool shit happening. Like his would probably be the least interesting. Um, Whereas why I can see like Shinobi and Kikai getting so much more love from the
Yeah.
fans. Yeah. Any thoughts, Decade?
Not really, but I am curious to see how exactly they're gonna do that Shinobi miniseries. That should be interesting.
All right. So back to present day Zi-O. Hey, Greg, could you mute your mic when you aren't talking?
Sure, sure, that's true.
Yeah. Sorry, it's just getting. I'm like hearing myself through your mic.
Oh, that my
All right. So, I said present day Zi-O, but we're still in the future because Sogo's dreaming of Kikai's future. He saves the kids from robots, and then Kikai shows up. Sento fights him off as well, and protects the kids, who teach him Rento's favorite phrase: "Be the BFF." Sento realizes that that phrase might be the key and wakes himself up. In the present, he explains that to Tsukuyomi that robots have passcodes, and that if they enter the right passcode into the another Kikai, it might allow them to beat him. Meanwhile, Tsukuyomi is admiring a toy robot that Sogo played with as a kid, which has "Be the King, will be the king" on the back. Thoughts?
We haven't mentioned yet how like Gates set up loads of what was lilac extract to help Sogo sleep and was like fanning it at him. It was so adorable.
Oh, that was last episode.
Right. Okay, thanks for reminding me. Also, like, the password thing is a cool thing, although I'm like, honestly, will be the BFF or will be the king are horrible passwords because they're insecure, but that's me just nitpicking because kids show. Overall, it's a good setup for the payoff later.
Yeah, I definitely. I mean, I thought that the little phrase would play into the story, but how exactly, like when Tsukiyomi brings it up at the end, that was kind of trippy. And it kind of made me think more about, like, the dream he had as a kid. Like, did that somehow. Did his dream about robots create those robots? Because we've seen that the robots are still there. They're just like sleeping underground. That's like the craziest thing about this damn show. What is up with those robots? But I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, that's for later.
Yeah, I mean, technically, there's I think only like one robot that's shown up, but yeah, you're right. It's just sitting there for like, or it's supposed to sit there for like 6 months. Also, I didn't even think about the whole like, oh shit, he might have had this power since he's a kid, because I'm like, oh my god, that's so much more just like Tsukasa all over again. Um, which makes the show even more batshit insane and just another crazy version of Decade. Which is cool, I guess. I mean, that explains why Tsukasa is the only guy who kind of really like helps him for the most part. Um, but like shit, I didn't even think of that. Like, if he's all this is happening because he's had the power, like again, that just makes the person who came back to talk to him even more important. So until we figure out who the fuck that is, like, it could be anything. Um, but yeah, I mean, it was cool that like Tsukiyomi figured it out. Um, it's still a little weird because it's like where okay, fine, like he made like Kikai and all that stuff, and therefore because he exists, the watch exists and all that. But it's like, who made the weirdo parasite? Because like Grid's got nothing to do with not Grid. Zi-O's got nothing to do with that.
Well,
Um,
yeah. So the explanation we get is that Zi-O's power is growing so strong that he has the power to create the future. So the Kikai future isn't from either timeline that we are currently like dealing with here. It's just a future that Sogo literally dreamed up. And the result of that, for some reason, created another Kikai parasite in the present, so that the Another Rider could exist.
Which is pretty mind-blowing as well, because it's like, if Sogo can unconsciously create different futures, it's basically he's the Kamen Rider equivalent of Haruhi Suzumiya, and that means stuff could go wrong very easily.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I mean, well, not that exactly, but that's a good point. But the most interesting thing, like, at first I thought, okay, so, oh shit, Tsukiyomi. Okay, at first the whole like Tsukiyomi reveals happens at the end, so I was just thinking, oh no, Sogo is fucking shit up, and it's whatever he thought of as a kid, like Omazio did in the future, which kind of makes sense. And like his whole thing of like, I want to be the king, or I'll be the king is your password. And then that kind of led to like Kikai later on. What I thought was like, oh, like Omazio built like some version of the robot thing, which then built like some version which led to Kikai like 100 years in the future, which I'm like, okay, fine, he has robots, it makes sense. And then like I thought he just sent back the parasite because nobody's like, where the fuck did this weirdo thing come from? Because like he's like, okay, you guys are fucking up the timeline too hard. Like, I'm just going to kill all of you who are messing with my thing, right? I thought that's what was happening, and then it's like, no, like he's not actively doing anything. Like he's just dreaming weirdo realities into existence, which is so much more insane. Um, but again, like, where the fuck did this parasite come from? Did he dream that?
Sogo dreamed it up by accident when he dreamed up the Kikai future. For some reason, unexplained, that created the parasite to allow another Kikai to exist in the present. That is not something Sogo did intentionally, but that is the explanation we were given.
I guess that makes sense, but
Not really.
it's one of those problems with this show. It's like they give explanations, but the explanations make stuff so much less cool. Where I'm like, oh, it's some weirdo alien life form thing. Like we're like, okay, we did the freaking robot rider, now we're getting like the 90s writers with like I don't know, it's some weird bioform thing. Like maybe it's the enemy from not J. Yeah, maybe no, not Z Cross. Zi-O? No.
Like
Zeto.
classic
Zeto?
Yeah.
Zio.
No. Zeto. Yeah. Zeto's
Zeto.
enemies. Yeah, it's the second 90s writer. Um right? So like Zeto's yeah, because I'm like trying to think is like is it Z Cross? I'm like no, that's the 10th writer. So it's Zeto. Um and Zeto's thing is like this weirdo scientist dude kind of gave him powers to protect his son basically. Um kind of like remolded him as a cyborg, then he built another like biological, like basically he made the androids and then he made Cell, right?
Oh.
um and then yeah, and then Cell, okay, it's weird because it's not even Cell, it's more like he made Cell and then like Cell made basically the alien from Aliens and sent him back in time like Terminator style. It's fucking weird. All right, Zio is a weird ass movie. Then again, what do you expect from the guy who made fucking Garo? So like, of course it's gonna be weird. Like it makes sense in the movie. It's just weird explaining it because I'm trying to like patch together like, yeah, Memiya is insane, and he's great, but like it's weird explaining it. But like the show, like I thought it's just some weird life form. I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's the future enemies. They're weird because they're weird. And then I'm like, okay, maybe like Omazio created like the progenitor robot things, and he was also experimenting on these things, and he sent it back in time. Like he sent like one of his generals back in time. So I'm like, oh, he's had it with these kids in their fucking time meddling. So he's trying to fuck with all of them now. But then they're like, no, it's this dream shit. I'm like, okay, where did this fucking thing come from? Which also, like, that's one thing. And then the other thing is, like, White Waz is kind of annoying, but I'm like, thank God he's here because now the writer doesn't have to write how people meet. It's like, oh, how did we just happen to run into the enemy we need now? Oh, I literally just wrote it in the book.
I literally
You
just
just
wrote
wrote
in
it in
like,
the script?
"Hey, we encountered him at a factory."
Yeah, I know. But, like, literally at this point, White Waz is the script.
Like
Right?
it's like how
it's not his power. He literally has access to the script.
it's like how in XA, like, how do we explain scene transitions? It is literally a feature in their belts.
Yeah, that was fucking great, right? That's clever thinking. This, it's like, okay, it's too complicated to think of a reason. I'm just gonna BS some bullshit reason, and you're just gonna have to infer and patch it together, right? Like the weird alien thing. It's like, well, I guess it's a fucking dream thing. But then, like, why can the time jackers use it? I don't know. White was like, oh, what? I need this to happen. Don't worry, we don't need a reason or to do research. I'll just write it in this book and it'll happen. I'm like, okay, yeah, it's kind of working, but I'm like, this is starting to seem a little too like play. Like in this show right now, it's working. If it gets too like, oh shit, we've hit like a Chronos, or oh god, we actually had like a couple seasons of this, a Chronos or Evolve or like the ending of Coast, like Jesus Christ, like you think Evolve was bullshit and you thought Chronos was OP, like this book is gonna be insane.
But this book becomes the final villain writer.
The book becomes the final villain.
Yeah.
Dude, that happened in Drive. The fucking Drive. Yeah. So, in Drive, like the mentor-ish character, like Beltsan's alive. You guys know that. You've seen like
Yeah.
Drive and Crossover.
I've seen,
Yeah,
from what I've
yeah, I've seen drives.
Kamen Rider.
I've seen Heisei Generations. I've seen drives like device talk to him.
Yeah, that guy built like all the tech, right? He had a rival who was the secondary rider's dad, right? He's in a like Belt Son's in a belt, he's in a tablet for most of the show. Right? At the end, both of them duke it out. Basically, like the tablet becomes the final villain, and the belt and like the main rider have to take him down. So if you're saying, "Oh no, the book," no, that literally happened in Drive.
Okay.
Honestly, like for what we see later, I'm worried that Sogo's time rewinding ability will become abused for a thing like, oh no, we've written ourselves into a corner. Boom, reset button, everything's fine. Which would seriously piss me
That
off.
literally happened in X8 twice.
Yes, it did. I just don't want it to happen here. Or more than twice. Like, once is enough. More than once, and it's bullshit.
Okay, I agree. Here's the problem: the show already did it twice.
Well,
where it's
those were clearly like.
Yeah,
Go
there's
on.
the I'm from 3 days in the future. So yeah, I think people forget one thing. They literally have time machines, which they don't use, right? So they're busted to begin with. And two, it's like then they had like the mirror version. So I'm like, at this point, they could literally pull anything they want out of anything, because like they have access to all rider technology, which means the amount of times you can fuck over the timeline is basically infinite, right? Like they have their own time machines, right? If they didn't, they could just use the Deno shit. If they didn't, they could just use the Kiva shit. If they didn't, they could just use perfect form freaking Kabuto. You know, like there's like a million ways.
This is why I'm like, if I ever decide to do a Doctor Who crossover with Zi-O, I'm going to start with the TARDIS lands, the Doctor walks out and gets a severe migraine because the timeline is that screwed.
Like, Zi-O is basically the Cell Saga.
Oh my god, it is. That's what I was saying. Like the weirdo alien thing. I'm like, oh my god, it's fucking force larva form Cell come back. Like, did he shoot one of them from the future and steal their time machine too?
Yeah.
Um,
So,
yo. So, you know the Super Best Friends. Did you see that Plague video of the timelines?
no, I didn't.
Holy shit, 17. 17 timelines, or at least something like that. That's what he actually counted.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's insane. And that's just DBZ. Imagine in the writer universe how many insanity. Like, we have more movies than that fucking with time at this point.
How many timelines,
How many timelines?
alternate parallel worlds there are.
How many timelines did Deno create?
How many
I'm
Deno
only
movies
a
are
bit
there?
through Deno, so I don't know.
Okay.
From what to my knowledge, I don't think Dano really did create alternate timelines all that much. They really just stayed in one, except for the fact that Hana is from an alternate future.
There are
That's
7
destroyed.
Deno movies, 6 of which are post-series.
And I'm not watching
Yeah.
any of them.
Why
I've
not?
seen them all.
They
They're
are.
They're not really worth it. If you really love
Okay,
that Deno
the
that
one-
much, and you just
There's
want the
one that's
characters
worth
more.
it, but that's because it has the end in it.
That one's not
And
even
that's
about Deno.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It's the only one worth your time. Like,
Yeah.
because it has the end, and the end's fucking great. Like,
I haven't met the end in series yet.
No,
Looking forward to
but-
that. Have to keep going.
But for real though, Climax Deca is actually worth watching. But back to Zi-O.
Yes. It is getting late.
So, the riders all team up to go take on Kikai and have Aura freeze time so they can input the password. Will be the BFF. It fails. Tsukuyomi then shows up and says, hey, I think the password is will be the king instead. Gaze hesitates, and then Aura freezes time again. this time allowing herself to input the password so that she gets the Another Rider watch, reinfects Ura to make him stronger, and while everyone is frozen, he blows them all up with missiles. Reset time. Sogo basically warns Gaze, like, if you hesitate, that future will come true. Gaze remembering what the future is like. So he doesn't hesitate this time, inputs the password, and gets the future watch that White Waz uses to henshin, shows off his new form. He literally takes control of innocent civilians standing nearby, but defeats the Another Rider. Aura, like, shrudges it off, like, what a waste, and hesitates before following her again. So, what I take away from this is that the way hesitated, I think Sogo pulled him back during the reset as well, to show him, like, how Ura betrayed him as well. So he's been betrayed by both of them, and he knows it. And I don't think that's going to sit too well with him.
I agree with that. That was, for going back, like, that was a very nice triple henshin. I think that's the first we got in the show. Reset time, like I already talked about, it works, like, for this episode, and I know they technically reset time a bit, but I just don't want them to use it as a get out of jail free card in the future. So, like, was taking control of people, like, that was both creepy and funny because it looked like they were doing a flash mob suddenly. I agree that Nat probably saw, like, what would that possible future, and is like, why? Well, technically I'm on their side, but I will seriously consider not working with the people who are constantly backstabbing me, so I would not be surprised if he switches sides in the future.
Yeah, as crazy as that sounds, maybe will become a good guy, or at least maybe more neutral. But yeah, that was featuring Kikai is pretty ugly. Did think the whole manipulating humans was interesting. Don't think we've seen that before.
I honestly think that's probably going to be one of the only times he actually uses that ability.
Yeah, I mean, he's already given up on Quiz because it failed him, so he's just gonna stick to Shinobi because it actually works. But yeah, the fight was still pretty fun, and I'm interested to see what decides to do. It'd be pretty disappointing if he just stayed with the Time Jackers for the rest of the show.
Honestly, like, we said that this was giving them character. This is his biggest chance to get character development as he questions what he's doing with these people.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, holy shit, like, the last couple minutes of this episode, everybody got character development. That was fucking so well done. Like, it's probably been a while. I don't know. I don't even remember if the show's been done this, but, like, yeah, first triple henshin. You see, like, everybody's reaction, like, oh, holy shit, Tsukiyomi is crazy enough to go her own plan because she's so so afraid of freaking Zero 2. And then, like, Gates hesitating, and then, like, that, like, ending up so badly. I actually didn't even think of the thing of, like, R being pulled back because I just thought, oh shit, he doesn't trust him. But you're right, like, unless Aura betrayed him, there's no reason why he would not trust them, right? But yeah, you're right. He could have just, like, pulled them back.
He would have reason to, like, not be okay because Schwartz betrayed him, but he was hesitant to go with Aura.
Yeah, I actually really felt bad for that kid. I'm like, oh man, like, you deserve better than these assholes. And I'm like, you're the villain, but I'm like, I still like you more than anybody. at this point. I mean, that's not true. I mean, like from the villain side at least.
He's my
Also,
favorite time
like,
jacker.
yeah, he's great. Um, the interesting thing is like, Aura goes like, "Oh, Schwartz's plan is working." I'm like, "Wait, you fuckers planned this?"
Well,
Um,
Schwartz's
because,
improv plan to turn him into the Another Rider.
oh, okay. See, I thought what was happening is like Schwartz and her kind of knew what was going on, and then she was just playing to get back when she went to
Nah,
the shop.
she
Oh,
she
okay.
was referring to how Schwartz put the parasite on him in the first place.
Okay. Yeah, that's a little bit better because like if my theory is correct, I'm like, oh man, you guys are fucking heartless. Uh, this makes her slightly better because it just makes her like more opportunistic instead of being like straight up freaking
Yeah.
evil. Uh, but you know that's good. Little nuance. Uh, Tsukiyomi freaking forgetting she has no rider suit, running into the middle of a goddamn rider battle. I'm like, okay, I know you have a gun and a mech suit. Like, use those, but like,
Like, you're not
I was
Nico.
not. Yeah, I was like, not even that. Like, I was. You kind of forget because like main characters tend to have plot armor, and then like freaking like 5+ missiles start barreling down onto your like main cast member. Like, oh fuck, yeah, this is what actually happens in rider fights, right? Like you, a civilian cannot just run up into the middle; they will fucking get murdered. And then that happened. I'm like, holy shit, what is the? Oh, it's only like 2/3 of the way through this episode.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, yeah, something
Not
else.
getting left off on that.
Yeah, I thought I'm like, oh fuck, is this the? I mean, if is this the cliffhanger? It's not even the Christmas episode. Um, I love how that's like a writer meme now. It's like, oh, don't worry, it's save it for the Christmas episode. Um, yeah. Anyway, but like Gates again, like he's being like he's now the freaking moderate, whereas like Tsukiyomi's kind of going to the extreme, and like you see like the time jackers are not together, and like might turn into a good guy, which is cool. Freaking White Waz continues to be a fucking asshole. Like I'm like I was okay with you, and then you freaking mind washed people, normal humans, and
Innocent
then decided to
construction
like
workers nearby.
I know. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
Like,
Right? Like, if you turn them into some kind of weirdo, semi powered up monsters, I'm like, okay, that's still fucked up, but at least they would have a chance. But, like, random humans have no chance against a writer. Right? And then I'm like, okay, if they beat your writer, I mean, like, your villain, then your villain's nothing. But it's like, no, it's just a distraction. I'm like, that's fucked up, but at least it doesn't screw over the power scaling too much. Still a complete asshole though. Um, I see why fucking Gates super doesn't like him. The one weird thing though is like he had like the gold and silver armor. I'm like, wow, this actually looks pretty good on you instead of your freaking green. Um, yeah, so that's weird. Like, but again, that thing's probably never gonna get used again because it's too overpowered. Then Gates revive like Ride Watch shows up.
oh yeah, I haven't gotten to
And
that
that
yet
thing
though.
actually, yeah, sorry. That thing looked pretty cool though. Uh, like it's one of the few power ups in this damn show. I'm like, oh, that actually looks cool. I mean, who knows what the suit's gonna? I mean, I guess some of
Well,
you guys know what the
toy
suit's gonna look
scans
like.
are out, so I know what the suit looks like. But the power up itself is like really cool because it's an hourglass, which fits into the time theme.
Yeah, it's freaking great. And then it's also good because Sogo's like, oh fuck, shit's going down. Like, I love how he didn't do like the standard thing. Oh shit, my friend's freaking dead, and I was like, no, fuck this. We're resetting time right now. You know, we're not dealing with this shit.
If I can
And so
reverse time, I will damn well use it.
I know, right? Like, that was so well done. Also, like Aura and like I guess the Time Jackers have weirdo force fields. I guess that's the first time we've seen that because like uh Zio shoots at them with what I don't know. He doesn't look like he has a gun, but he shoots at them with something. And they kind of deflected, so that was interesting. But yeah, otherwise, like man, those like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, whatever, were really good for everybody's character development.
All right, so Sogo falls asleep and goes to the Kikai future where he inputs the "will be the BFF" password into Kikai himself, and that works and saves him. And Kikai basically gives him like, "Hey, thanks for stopping by" or whatever kind of farewell. And then Sogo wakes up in the middle of his makeup exam. So I guess so. Sogo's power to see the future is developing because he actually saw himself taking the makeup exam, but he didn't see the answers because the answers he saw were for this exam. He walks away with like a C or something, which he boasts to Waz on his way home, and Waz is
I
just
mean, he
like,
said he got like an 85, so I don't know what the hell that would be.
It's like a B.
yeah, like a B, I
Maybe
guess.
B minus.
And Waz is just like, what a scattered prophetic ability you have. And I just like how casual that interaction between them is. And then White Waz approaches Gaze and Tsukuyomi and creates the Gaze Revive power-up for him, which is an hourglass. Meanwhile, Schwartz is plotting his next move, which is another Zi-O watch. Episode end.
Yeah, this is definitely making a lot more sense because what was going on in those future worlds? Was Zi-O just dreaming it up? Or was he interacting with the future? But no, now we see he's creating the future. He's actually there. Of course, he's not going to die in the future, but yeah, because when he first went to the 21 whatever, he asked Grunto, he's like, "Is this a dream?" And he's like, "Huh, a dream? I don't know. This is the real future that he's creating." So it's interesting, and yeah, again, I love just seeing Waz and Sogo buddy buddy. It's always fun.
Yeah, I mean they're pretty great. I guess it just explains like that Soga's power is whatever he dreams he can make real. So like
Not
they're
necessarily
explaining-
whatever he dreams, but like he dreamed his power like triggered on him as he dreamed of the future to create that future. So dreaming,
Well, I know at this point, but
Yeah.
like as he gets better, maybe he learns to control it.
yeah,
And this also explains how like in their fight, like Amazio was not phased at fucking all because like Zo2 is like, oh, I can see the future. You know? So
so imagine what he
Amazio's
can do.
even- Yeah, right, exactly. And that also explains why he could like basically take over the fucking planet. Because it's like, what do you fight with the guy who can literally dream up anything? Like Decade's pretty busted, Wizard's pretty busted, like Gaim's pretty freaking busted.
Kabuto's
It's
pretty
like-
busted.
Yeah, but it's like, how do you beat a guy who's like, oh no, you won? No, no, you didn't. I won. It's like, no, no, I had this. Oh, your power up? No, it doesn't matter. I have this power up. It's like your power? No, it's my power now. It's like, how do you fucking beat that? You know, I mean, like if he could ever control it, like you know how like Tsukasa, basically could, like, adult Tsukasa can control the, like dimensional hopping and shit.
Yep.
Like if he ever got to that level, like he'd be pretty fucking busted. I guess that's like the implication of like how Zi-O did his thing, which is interesting. Right. Also, for your terrible dad joke, I have another one now.
Oh,
Um, oh yeah. So he did a makeup exam. So where the fuck was Drake from Kabuto?
Oh, I got it.
oh, fuck.
I got.
I don't get it, but I haven't seen Kabuto.
Kamen Rider
Okay,
Drake is a
so-
makeup artist.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He's
In the
also
second-
freaking. Good.
Yeah, he's awesome. But in the second climax fighters, that's like one of his special attacks. It's like his grip attack. And he just
He just
covers
puts
you in makeup.
makeup on his
Yeah.
opponent. Oh.
it
No.
goes into like
I mean,
a mini cutscene. It's so dumb.
it's so dumb. I mean, the weirdest thing in Kabuto is like their weird ass like abilities kind of like get like one-off like anime filler episodes, except in live action. So Kabuto has that like weirdo like kitchen stadium thing going on, right? Like Drake has this makeup like how should I explain? Like he has a makeup battle with his rival, and they basically in the final contest they literally jump up and do the DBZ quicker than the eye can see punching thing, except they're doing makeup on each other. It's fucking ridiculous and it's great. Also Drake is like awesome in that show because I know like Attack is technically like the secondary, but I'm like I always thought like Drake was so much better because like he puts up with none of Tendo's bullshit. Whereas like Kick Hopper or not Kick Hopper, I guess he was the Zabi. Like the Zabis kind of knock Kabuto around every once in a while, but they get their shit kicked in because that's just the problem with the Zabis. Are like if you get cocky, you fuck up. You can't use that thing. And
The
like,
B
you
doesn't
find
have a
the
user anymore.
Yeah, I know. And then like, so that's the thing. And then like, Gatak is just a secondary. Like he cannot beat Tendo at basically anything. He's like a good secondary, but he's not going to challenge. Whereas Drake is like, I don't give a shit, Tendo. You know, Path of Heaven, whatever. Fuck off. Get out of my way. I'm just gonna do my own thing. You get in my way, I'm gonna slow down time and shoot you from both directions, which is so great.
I have to go
Also,
on
that cooking
musical tour now, but I'll be back to kick your ass.
I know, right?
This sounds like I need to watch Kabuto.
So,
Kabuto is like if you had ideas. No, wait, you had more ideas. Oh, wait, you have even more batshit insane ideas. No, it's not going to fit. What? This is also an anniversary show? Yes, put it in somehow.
and then they made their main character so strong they couldn't make a main villain to keep up with him.
Okay.
The second
It'll
half
be
of
interesting
Kabuto,
once we get to the Kabuto arc.
the second half of Kabuto keeps changing its main antagonist because none of them can fight Kabuto.
Like, it gets so bad, they literally get weirdo future evil Kabuto, and Kabuto still kicks his ass in like 3 episodes.
I gotta get back into Kabuto.
Kabuto's second half is like a mess, but there's something there.
Yeah, so the thing is, like, Kabuto's not a good show. It's because it's a little too scattershot. But it's not bad. Like, it's okay to enjoyable, and then like the final arc is like, what are you doing? You're undoing all the progress we've made so far, which is really stupid. Which is like the last couple episodes, but otherwise, it's just fun for the dumbass one-offs. Like, I know it's supposed to be an anniversary show, but like ignore that shit. Like, just ignore it's a writer show, and you'll be fine.
As soon as you said dumbass one-offs, I immediately thought of the Iron Chef episode.
Oh my god! Like that episode, we will never let it go. It's not a good episode. Actually, it's not a good two-parter. But it's so stupid. It sticks in your mind.
Okay, we gotta end this podcast. final thoughts on this episode of Zi-O. Overall, I like the potential that this episode sets up for character development in the future. It does a really good job of it, and uh, it makes me interested in where the show is going from here on out. Especially since they're making it sound like Oma Day is coming up next month or something. Like, hey, it sounds like it's around the corner from how they're talking.
Yeah, I enjoyed this episode. This two-parter was pretty good. Yeah, I'm curious to see kind of like I'm actually interested in Tsukiyomi now that they backtracked and kind of gave her some reasoning. So yeah, I'm interested to see how that's gonna play out. Obviously, I don't think she's gonna abandon Sogo, but hopefully it's handled well.
Grid?
Guess.
Final thoughts for the episode?
Yeah. It was a fairly good episode. I liked Rento. Liked how what they did with Schwartz, not Schwartz, the Time Jackers in general, mostly Uru. And yeah, and I liked how they just introduced another Geo Red Watch and Gates Revive Red Watch.
Henshin?
I really liked it. I really enjoyed the two-parter. I really liked Kakai. I also like how they set up plot threads for later on, especially with Gates Revive Ride Watch and another Zi-O Ride Watch, which interests me a lot. I am really interested to see where that is going. And if Oma Day comes up in March, April, instead of the end of the series, which is when I'm guessing it'll be, that leaves open a bunch of other possibilities. Like, if you just go to Oma Day, where do you go from there? So I'm interested to see what happens next.
Oh god, I thought it was a really bad joke. Um, where it's like we're like, oh, who's the man who told Sogo, and like we never get an answer. If we never get an answer in the show, my running theory is it's Narataki. Yes.
Seconded.
Um, my two theories for who that man is either an older version of Sogo or Gaze.
Yeah, I know. Those are like the standard options we have. I'm thinking it's probably like either good Sogo or maybe Gates, which would be interesting. If we go with the it doesn't matter, it's like fuck you. If you're gonna do bullshit like that, I'm just gonna say it's an Arataki. He did it
And
just to fuck with Decade.
and no one will argue.
I know, right? Like he
So,
has no character. But I'm like, fuck it, I
Narutaki is the
wanna-
kind of guy that just goes around screwing things up.
especially because like he's the biggest trouble like Decade's gonna get. I'm like, okay, fine. I can see it happening.
Honestly, I want Natsumi to come back just to laughing pressure point Tsukasa one more time.
Oh my god, yes, that would be so cool.
What if that's how they like Tsukasa returns to the show? What if that's how like he leaves the show? Like Natsumi just comes and does that to him and takes him away.
That would be amazing.
That would be so cool, but like it's unlikely. You know what I would actually want is like, okay, it's probably unlikely that Tsukiyomi is gonna get a power up in this show at this point. Otherwise, we would have heard about it. That being said, like, I hope she gets like a power up or something. And like, come on, man, it's the show with weirdo timelines. Like, give one timeline when she has a writer thing. In that one, in like freaking Natsumi shows up as Kivala. I'm like, okay, yes, canon female writer who lived. Um, who's only in movies. Like, thank God, we need a freaking reference to her.
The other
That would be
option
nice.
would be to make one of the future riders a woman. So, but I don't have high hopes, but there's like no precedent for future riders because future, so we will see.
Yeah, that would be so cool. I mean, to be fair, it seems like they're taking more risk with the future writer stuff.
Because they don't have to say
Highly
that this
unlikely,
happens.
but yeah, it's highly unlikely because Toei are backwards assholes. Um, but man, it would be so fucking cool because like we've had really cool female writers, and they all end up fucking dead, which pisses me off. Or Natsumi, who never shows up, or Nerishiko, who got blasted off into space. Um, I guess Mayu's still around, but again, like she doesn't show up for anything, which sucks. Yeah, so it'd be cool to have at least one more.
Also, I don't think Omade is the end of the show because Gaze Revive is clearly like his mid-season power-up kind of thing. So there's got to be more after that.
Yeah, and that'd be cool to see. Like, what comes after Oma Day? It's like Oma Day happened, and whatever happened on it happened. Now
like-
what? Or Oma Day happened, and oh shit, this isn't either of the options we thought would
Well,
happen.
That's clearly what the show's leaning towards, like a third option. But we'll have to wait and see what happens. Thanks for joining us tonight, everybody. It was fun having a lot of people to talk with and bounce ideas off of. So this episode ran a bit longer than normal. We'll be back next Tuesday for more Super Sentai Psycho Battle, and next Wednesday for more Kamen Rider Zi-O. Things seem to be getting really interesting. See you next time.
Yep. Thanks for listening.
I.
Yep. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us, everyone. We'll catch you next time. Also, probably the best episode so far. So hopefully the next one's also good.